Newcastle United 2, Manchester City 3. And the game was quite literally turned around as soon as Kevin De Bruyne walked onto the football pitch. That man is absolutely inevitable. Absolutely inevitable. Because before that point, I thought Man City actually were playing quite well. But they just didn't have that end product to their game where they didn't really look like penetrating that impenetrable Newcastle defense. When Kevin De Bruyne came onto the pitch, he gave them what Man City, to be honest, have not really lacked this season, but lacked in key moments. And that is a final ball assassin, man. He's a rare breed of players, Kevin De Bruyne. And we got treated to, man. Anyone that thought, you know what, having such a long injury, he might not be the same player when he comes back. I mean, I think it was just proven today that is absolutely false, man. He's come back and torn Newcastle apart, like he will do for most teams in the Premier League in the second half of the season, because that boy has got a final ball in his locker, man. A goal and assist, and both of them a touch of genius, touch of class. I mean, look, guys, the Premier League is the best league in the world, but one thing I do think we lack in the Premier League is real final ball merchants, right? When you look at the midfielders that are the absolute like pinnacle of midfield excellence, the players that we always associate with that position, whether it be someone like Ronaldinho or Mesut Ozil or Toni Kroos or Luka Modric, every single creative midfielder that gets talked about because of their end product and their final ball. And I feel like genuinely, the only two players I know of in the Premier League that have genuine quality final ball, where it is on the money, unbelievable, is Kevin De Bruyne and Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's primarily a right back. It's no one else really. When you look at other leagues, right? I mean, even in the olden days, you had Mesut Ozil at Arsenal, who was a final ball merchant, just like Kevin De Bruyne. But then it lacks that in other, like, you look at other leagues, for example, you look at La Liga, you've got players like Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, who have that final ball to their game. Do you get what I mean? Whereas in the Premier League right now, Kevin De Bruyne and Trent Alexander-Arnold are the only two players I can bank of having that final ball be on the money, unbelievable, where it will go in 9 times out of 10 in the right place at the right time. And like I said, he came onto the pitch today, Kevin De Bruyne, and he completely tore it up, man. Completely tore it up. I mean, I was watching TNT Sports. Ali McCoist gave Rodri man the match. To be honest, Kevin De Bruyne is man the match in my eyes. Because up until that point, although Man City were good, they weren't at their absolute best to penetrate Newcastle. They were good, but they weren't quite final ball good. It kept breaking down in the final moments. But when you have a Kevin De Bruyne on the pitch, you have someone that can have that final moment and create that killer instinct. And like I said, be an assassin in the right moment. Goal and assist. His goal, I mean, I'm sat there, I'm thinking, why is he taking it with his right foot? Like in any other day, that's a left-footed finish. He's brought the ball onto his left peg, and I'm thinking just wrap it with your left foot, finesse shot. But what he does instead is line it up with his right foot and genuinely just passed it into the corner. It's not even power behind the shot. He just precisely, just like an arrow, targets it into the corner like a dart. Literally perfect, on the money, beautiful finish. And then for the third goal, I mean, I'm sat there thinking, you know what, 3 minutes added on, Newcastle actually might get away with a point here. But then out of nowhere, De Bruyne over the top pass to Oscar Bobb. And to be fair to Oscar Bobb, man, came onto the pitch for Jeremy Doku. At the time, I was thinking, oh, that's a bit of a strange one. He's only a youngster coming on. I think you're looking for a winner here, not really to close out a game. But boy, what composure there to go round the goalkeeper and slot it into the back of net. I thought it was a superb finish by Oscar Bobb as well. And Man City come with the 3-2 victory. And in my eyes, I think it's a hallmark of a victory that teams that want to win the title win. Do you get what I mean? Because you look at the victory here today for Man City, right? And it's a game that they struggled in to get the goal. They were actually a good team. I thought Man City played well today. I thought before De Bruyne came onto the pitch, they were lacking that end product. But for the most part, I thought they played well today. Equally, Newcastle. Now, I think if you're Newcastle United, right, you're not going to beat yourself up too much because you obviously can see the last-minute winner. It's not like you got blown apart by Man City. But I do think at the same time, Newcastle, they've got a lot to learn from this. I think they started the game quite slowly. I thought Man City became the better team in the first half. Then, out of nowhere, they got 2 goals through Isak and Anthony Gordon, which were both superb finishes, by the way. Brilliant, brilliant goals from Newcastle. And then after that, they retreated again. Like, they came out in the second half, 2-1 up. And I'm thinking at that point, more of the same. Like, you were 2-1 up. Keep it going in that vein. But in the second half, they did nothing. They just sat back in their shell. I think that was a wrong move by Eddie Howe and Newcastle United. I think what got you to the position of 2-1 was being a bit more brave and coming out of your shell and pressing a bit more and having a bit more ball retention up front and creating chances off that and adding a bit of clinicality to it as well. But in that second half, they did nothing, Newcastle. They just sat back. Like, genuinely, they sat back and it was working. But as soon as Kevin De Bruyne came onto the pitch, they just fell apart, really. And look, it's a shame, to be honest, but I think at halftime, if you look on it, like in hindsight, I think Eddie Howe would not have sat back going into the second half. I think he actually would have played a bit more of a forward-thinking style of play in that second half.
But look, it's one of those things, man. Man City proved again why they are one of the best teams in England. And to be honest, well, they're most likely going to win the Premier League, because if you want to win the title, you win games like this. And the way Man City won it, just one of those ones where you go to St. James's Park, you go 1-0 up, look dominating. You go 2-1 down, you think, oh, it's going to be one of those days. They might fall apart here, but they don't. They come back and not only get a goal back to make it 2-2, they actually come back and win the game 3-2. I look at Liverpool, did a similar thing here, winning with Núñez 2 goals. I look at Arsenal, went 1-0 down, fell apart really, started blaming the referees and stuff. So I do think, to be honest, when you look at the league right now, I think Man City are to be honest, favourites for the title, regardless of not being top right now. I think Liverpool are second favourites. Then you look at Arsenal, Aston Villa, and like Tottenham beneath them as like the pretenders right now rather than contenders. But look, Man City just established themselves right here, because De Bruyne is back from injury now. He's going to have a blistering second half of the season. Haaland might be coming back soon, but with or without Haaland, I mean, they've won 8 of their 9 games. With or without him, right? Or 9 of their 10 without him. It's an incredible statistic that they're that good even without Haaland. Like, for me, to be honest, guys, yeah, I said this before. Haaland is not Man City's most important player. Let's get that completely established. Haaland's a fantastic footballer. I genuinely believe so. But Man City can adapt to playing football without Erling Haaland. They've got brilliant quality in their squad, and they can play with a false 9 in Alvarez up front, or even Kevin De Bruyne can play as a false 9. Now he's back from injury. But one player Man City can't live without is Rodri. That brother is unbelievable, man. He runs the show in midfield. And look, even the little things from Rodri, right? It's his leadership as well. There's a couple of times when Ortega or Ederson was giving the ball away at the back at the start of the game. And then Rodri was the one to clean up and get the ball away from danger, and then start berating his goalkeeper, his teammates, saying, look, lock in, guys. Come on, man. We can't be making silly mistakes like this. So I do think, to be honest with you guys, right, that Rodri is the main player in this Man City team. Like, he is the captain. Like, even with or without the captaincy armband, for me, he's the captain and the leader. He's the one that runs the show, and he's their most important player. But now they've got back Kevin De Bruyne. And once Haaland comes back into it again, I'll tell you one thing for a fact, bro. He's going to be licking his lips that De Bruyne is lining up with him. Because I don't think Haaland's had a good season this year. I really don't think so. And look, he scored the goals, but when you're a great striker, you score goals regardless of who's around you. But I don't think Haaland's hit the same heights as last season. But now De Bruyne is back with that final ball in him. I mean, it's going to be another 1-2 punch from Man City. And they're just going to go from strength to strength right now. And look, unless De Bruyne gets injured again or something, I think it could be Man City running away with it. And here's the problem right now, because Man City do have a really good second half of the season. I mean, it's notorious. It's been that way for the past 6-7 years now under Pep Guardiola. But last year, Arsenal at least gave them trouble because Arsenal built up a good lead. This year, to be honest, no one's built up a good lead on Man City. Like, Liverpool got a lead on Man City, but even then it's like 2-3 points. Arsenal are behind Man City right now, so who knows how they're going to get back into the race. So Man City always hit form second half of the season. That's nothing new. It's not rocket science. But it's, have you got a big enough lead on them by the time they hit form where you can create enough of a separation where by the time Man City hit form and get at you, they haven't got enough gas in their tank to gain on you. That's what's got to be the case. And it was almost that way last season, but Arsenal bottled it in April, May when they drew to West Ham, Liverpool, and Southampton, etc. So Man City right now are starting to hit form. I think they're obviously, they like to get into the things. When round of 16 starts in the Champions League, that's when Man City really start to go exponential. That's when they really start to go bullish and start to really just rack up the wins, start to go in flow state. Momentum's with them. They're piling on the points and it's looking inevitable. They're like a locomotive, express train just on the runway, just going at you. So I do think, to be honest, Arsenal and Liverpool need to be checking their shoulders right now. Well, Liverpool needs to check their shoulders. Arsenal need to get things going, mate, because Arsenal have not been anywhere near the races these last few games. I think after about 20 minutes of the Liverpool game, I thought Arsenal could win the title. Ever since Salah scored for Liverpool, I don't think Arsenal can win the title anymore, because since then, they're just folded. Second half of the Liverpool game, they were poor. I think they were poor against West Ham United, losing 2-0. They were poor as well against Fulham. And now, obviously, they couldn't put the ball in the back in there against Liverpool in the FA Cup either. So Arsenal lost 3 on the bounce. They don't look confident. The team's in disarray right now. They need signings. They're out in Dubai having the time of their life when Man City are out in Newcastle getting victories. So I think there's a lot of problems right now. And I think right now, Arsenal got to look at themselves and go, what are we doing? Because Arsenal were the best team in the Premier League last season, in my eyes, in terms of actual improvement from the year before. Man City were the best team overall because they won the Premier League. But in terms of improvements from 2 seasons ago to last season, Arsenal were unbelievable. They completely jumped up and they were miles better than most people assumed. Then going into this season, they've just completely fallen off the gas. Like, many thought they'd challenge for the title again and be Man City's closest challengers. But what's actually happened is Liverpool have taken over that and Arsenal have just regressed. And that's got to be a real problem because I want a competitive league. Look, I'm an Arsenal fan. I want Arsenal to win this Premier League. But more than anything, I want a competitive league. I want Arsenal to go for it. And I want them to be challenging Man City. But right now, I look at this game today, right? If Arsenal were 2-1 down to Newcastle, I can't see us winning this game. I mean, look at the game against Fulham, for example. It's a prime example. Fulham are not even as good as Newcastle United. They're bad, if anything, Fulham. And Arsenal were 2-1 down to Fulham. And to be honest, never looked like coming back into the football match. As soon as it went 2-1, that was it. It was game over. It was literally game over. So I think there's a lot of problems around that football club. But on the flip side, look at Man City, where even if they are 2-1 down, they still look like they can find a way to win games. They've still got quality on the football pitch. And like I said, when you've got an end product merchant in Kevin De Bruyne, when you've got an end product player in De Bruyne, Trent Alexander-Arnold, there's always danger on the football pitch. I look at the teams that are challenging for the title. They've got De Bruyne and they've got Trent Alexander-Arnold respectively, because those two players can make something out of nothing. They can put that ball on, like literally on a dime, exactly where you want it to be for the attack. And I think De Bruyne did that today. Look, his goal was superb. His assist was even better in my eyes. The way he just on the money, onside as well, just perfectly over the top to Oscar Bobb. And I think that's going to be one of the reasons Man City are going to win the title. And if you look at the teams around them, Liverpool got a similar player in Trent Alexander-Arnold. Arsenal do not have someone like that. I don't care what anyone says. Odegaard is nowhere near the player that Kevin De Bruyne is. Nowhere near. So I think there's real problems. But look, Man City, the real thing for them is, though, can they keep it running? Because the Premier League's now obviously going to start to get into the flow of things. They're in the FA Cup as well. Champions League's around the corner. They've got a very friendly tie in the Champions League as well against Copenhagen. So I think Pep Guardiola will silently be very happy. I think he'll be disappointed with the starts of their season because they've got such lofty expectations and standards at that football club. But I think at the same time, he'll be delighted because despite the fact Man City have actually been, in my eyes, not that great this season, because everyone around them has not been superb, it means they're relatively not that bad. Like, look at the Premier League table. Let me pull it up, in fact. Let me pull up the Premier League table right now so I can show you guys what's going on with the Premier League table and how far Man City off the top, because genuinely, it's not even that far at all. It's not that far one bit. Like, if I show you the Premier League table right now, guys, you'll sit there and think, what is going on, man? Like, this is the Premier League table right now. Sorry, this is the match stats, by the way. So Man City deserved win, as you can see it by the stats. The table, they're 2 points off Liverpool. That's nothing, man. That's one win and Liverpool drawing, and they're top because the goal difference is the same. Like, it just shows you, look, they're 3 points ahead of Arsenal, and it just shows you clear as day that there's a clear differentiation now between Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal in my eyes. Just in terms of what I'm seeing on the football pitch, I don't see Arsenal match that same quality that Man City and Liverpool have shown this season. I look at Liverpool, in 20 games, they've lost one football match. You can't sniff at that one bit. You genuinely can't. Whereas when you look at the Arsenal, look, four draws, 4 losses. It's not the same, bro. It's genuinely not the same. But yeah, regardless, either way, let's get into some of your comments. Jordy, appreciate you joining the stream, my friend. Hope you're doing really, really well. Sorry for the loss. I mean, look, it's one of those things, man. As a Newcastle fan, you got to be disappointed the way you lost it last second. But at the same time, you can't be too disheartened because, look, it's the best team in the land, Man City. I thought you gave a good account for yourselves, but I think you did sit back too much in that second half. You should have gone far more for it, man. Far more for it. Mark, appreciate you on the stream. Oh, Kevin De Bruyne, he's back, man. De Bruyne is back from injury, like the Terminator, rising like the Undertaker. And look, the Premier League's got to be very, very what's the word, man? Very, very worried now because Man City were good. Like they were okay. Let's be real. They weren't amazing to start the season, but with Kevin De Bruyne back, boy, that just turns Man City team from good to elite again. And once Haaland comes back as well, I mean, Haaland's got to be absolutely licking his lips to be back into the team with Kevin De Bruyne again. Because I think Haaland's not been at his best this season, to be honest with you guys. But as soon as Kevin De Bruyne comes back into the team, you just know Haaland's going to hit form as well, man. Because that brother loves to play with De Bruyne. Because he knows he can put it on an absolute dime for Erling Haaland every single time. Like, on the money, the ball will be to Erling Haaland from Kevin De Bruyne. And look, I think the rest of the Premier League's got to be very, very worried as to what's going to happen right now. Watched 2 matches today. Augsburg versus Leverkusen and Newcastle City. Leverkusen and City both winning added time. I feel like I wasted the day. Nah, not like that, man. But look, Leverkusen are doing very well in the Bundesliga as well under Xabi Alonso. So they've been fantastic. And equally, Man City won today in added time. But it was a very good game. Very good game regardless. I think Newcastle always put in a good account for themselves at St. James's Park. I think their away form is a bit sketchy, though, to be honest with you guys. But one thing's for sure, I think at home, they do very, very well for themselves. And look, they picked up a lot of points at home this season. But the 2 games they've lost has been Liverpool and Man City, the 2 best teams in the Premier League. So I don't think they could be too disheartened. Both games they lost to Liverpool, Man City were in, let's be honest, the dying embers. Nunes scored in the last second, and Oscar Bobb today scored in the last second. And both games they were leading as well. So I think it will be a real shame for Newcastle as well that that's happened. But at the same time, look, it's one of those things, man. It's one of those things. I don't think they could be too disheartened with themselves. They keep it moving in the right direction. I think Newcastle have got to come out this bad patch, though. There's been this season right now, they've obviously beaten Sunderland in the FA Cup, which was a big win for them because before then they were on a bad roll as well. And against it, they've lost the game. But I think Eddie Howe will just be thinking, where's our next Premier League win going to come from? Because there's been games where they played well like today and not won the game. I thought against Liverpool, they weren't that bad, to be honest. I think they didn't deserve to win the game, but I don't think they were that bad in that game. I thought Forest, they got absolutely torn apart on a counter-attack by Chris Wood, to be fair. But overall, I don't think they've been terrible in the recent games. Newcastle, they're just not picking up enough points. And you look at the table right now, I mean, they sit in 10th. Newcastle, they sit in 10th. So it's clearly right now not a good season for them, Newcastle, in terms of their position. They're out the Champions League and Europa League as well because they finished bottom of their group. They've lost more matches than they've won. I mean, many will say Eddie Howe might be on thin ice. I don't think he'll be on thin ice, to be fair. Just given the fact that what he's done last season, I think he deserves the benefit of the doubt, especially given how many injuries they've had. But one thing's for sure, their squad is not enough to compete in the Champions League and the Premier League. That's the main thing. Because let's be honest, right? Last season, they were firing, playing one game a week. But as soon as Champions League came about, they started dropping like flies. You got Lewis Miley, who, fair play to him, I think is one of the better 17-year-olds around. But one thing is for sure, he can't play every game of football, man. Like the kid's, he's a kid at the end of the day. He can't play every single game. Equally, you've got Sean Longstaff. I think he's good as well, man. But can't play him every single game. They're missing Joe Willock. They're missing Joe Linton, who's gone down injured. Bruno Guimaraes, man, I think he's a fantastic footballer. You saw his assist for the first Newcastle goal. Unbelievable. But every single game, he gets a yellow card early, and they're walking a tightrope for the rest of the game. Do you get what I mean? So I do think, to be fair, that they need to make a few more signings in January. But at the same time, I've heard that due to sustainability rules in the Premier League, they might actually need to sell a few players, like Isak and Bruno Guimaraes. So who knows what's happening with Newcastle right now, but I don't think they could be too disappointed, to be honest. Newcastle also lost to Forest at home. Exactly, yeah. That was a shocker. Big shocker, man. If I look at Newcastle's recent form, right? If we look at Newcastle, let's pull up Newcastle's recent form so we can see what's up with them right now. So, yeah, Newcastle's recent form, right? So, obviously, they lost today to Newcastle. They lost today to Newcastle. They lost today to Man City. It's one of those things. They beat Sunderland 3-0 in the FA Cup. Good result. Liverpool away, it's one of those games, man. It just is what it is. They then lost to Forest. That's a bad result. They lost to Luton. That's a bad result. They lost to Chelsea. They beat Fulham, fair enough. They lost to Milan, and they lost to Tottenham, and lost to Everton. So since beating Man United, basically since the 2nd of December onwards, they've beaten Newcastle, they've beaten Fulham, beaten Sunderland, and that's it really. Ever since then, it's just been bad results. I think the Newcastle-Milan game, but to be fair, in the games I've watched, look, I watched them against Tottenham. They were bad that day. They deserved to lose that game 100%. No two ways about it. I thought against Milan, they were unlucky, like genuinely unlucky. Milan just taught them a lesson. Like they scored 2 goals in the second half, Milan. They just taught them a lesson, basically. I thought the game... Oh, let me go back to it. Back to the results. They obviously beat Fulham. I didn't really watch that game. I know Jimenez got sent off. I didn't watch this game. I didn't watch the game they lost to Luton. I watched the game they lost to Forest, and they just got absolutely torn apart on the counter-attack. Just got torn apart. They were 1-0 up in that game as well, which was a real big shame. I thought when they lost to Liverpool, they weren't that bad, to be honest. They weren't that bad. It's just Liverpool just had so many shots and so many chances. And at the end, they got a bit lucky with the penalty as well from Jota. I thought they beat Sunderland convincingly. And I thought they were a bit unlucky today as well. So I don't think they've been blown apart in every game I've watched, to be honest with you guys. Like the games I did watch, apart from the Tottenham game I watched, and I didn't watch this game, but I assume they got blown apart as well. I thought Newcastle have been all right, to be fair. Been pretty decent. But yeah. Is anyone watching the AFCON games tonight? I'm not going to be watching AFCON until after my exams, to be honest. Maybe I might tune in then. To be fair, but yeah, not right now. I can't wait for the Euros though in the summer. I absolutely can't wait for that. That's gonna be absolutely fantastic. I know that for an absolute fact, man. My country Turkey's in it as well, so hopefully we go very, very far in the Euros. But if I have to be completely honest, I think Portugal or France will win the Euros, man. Portugal or France, and then, to be honest, I wouldn't mind either of those teams winning. I want Mbappe to win one, and I wouldn't mind Ronaldo winning another Euros either as well. To be honest with you guys, but yeah, that's gonna wrap up the stream today, guys. I appreciate it's not been a long one, but I've got exams midweek, so I'm trying to keep it short overall. But I enjoyed the game today. It was a fantastic watch. I appreciate everyone that tuned in as well. If you're on your own, make sure you subscribe down below. On my road to 5,000, on my road to 6,000 subscribers. I really do appreciate it. And check out the other content on my channel as well. I've been quiet on the transfer news front because, let's be honest, there's been absolutely no transfer news, especially regarding Arsenal. It's been so dead this January transfer window so far. I don't think anyone really cares about Timo Werner joining Tottenham, to be honest with you. But other than that, hopefully it livens up towards the second half of the January transfer window. And regardless, man, hopefully it's going to be a really good second half of the season. We've got more games tomorrow. I believe we've got Tottenham playing Man City, which will be a very good Tottenham playing Man United, which will be a very good game. And of course, we've got the games next weekend as well. Arsenal play, Liverpool play as well. And then hopefully going into February, will be very jam-packed with Champions League as well coming back into the play. So I can't wait for that to come back. But yeah, I appreciate everyone that tuned in today. Make sure you subscribe down below on my road to 6,000 subscribers. Drop a like down below as well. If you are watching this now and stop becoming a stream, there's now a video on the channel. Make sure you let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Up and wonderful. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. And I do have to catch you guys all in the next one.